Everyone, Leah here from Lekela Music, and today I wanted to share with you some thoughts on technical exercises. And it's funny how different topics come up at different times. For last month, for example, I was getting lots of questions about pedaling, and another time I might get lots of questions about how to work out the fingering for a piece. What seems to be high up in the collective consciousness at the moment are technical exercises and all the questions about them. Should you be doing Czerny or Hanon? Should you be doing scales or etudes? Should you be doing them at all, and what are they for? So I thought I might just broach that topic and maybe help you put in place good reasons why you should be doing them. It's always easier to tackle something if you know why you're doing it. So first of all, let's think about what technical exercises are for. So basically, technique on the piano is all about being able to produce the sound that you want. And that's really all there is to it. You may want a legato sound or a staccato sound. You may want to vary the dynamics. You want to be able to pedal efficiently. All these different things to produce the different sounds that different styles of music require. And I want to offer a slightly different view of technical exercises and what they're about. So if you think about music as a language, and there are basically two ways of learning a language. We usually learn our mother tongue by way of total immersion. So we're born into it, we listen to it, and we try it out, and we learn it as we go along. And if we translate that approach into music, that's something like just learning technique as you go along. Whatever piece you're working on will require different sounds, and as you're learning that piece of music, you learn how to produce those sounds, and that carries over into other pieces you play. And that's a perfectly valid way of learning technique. There's nothing wrong with that at all, and I'm not saying that you have to do separate technical exercises if you really don't want to. But there is another way of learning language, isn't there? And as adults, and when we get beyond early childhood, we have a different approach to learning language, and that is that we practice the elements of language before we meet them in the real world. So for example, we may learn vocabulary and grammar and syntax and all these different things that go into producing meaningful sentences, and we practice those in advance, and then when we come along into the real world and we're having a conversation, we have that vocabulary at our fingertips and we're able to apply it. So technical exercises are a way of developing that vocabulary, if you like, before we ever need it in the music itself. Because it can be quite disheartening to come across a passage in a piece of music that we just can't play, our fingers just don't know how to tackle it, or we're just not able to produce the sound we want because we haven't practiced it before. So there are advantages to actually isolating different words, different phrases, when I say words and phrases, I'm talking about different movements that we need our fingers to be able to make, different ways of coordinating our fingers, different ways of moving up and down the keyboard, which if we've practiced away from the pieces, then we can easily tackle them when we meet them in situ. And so actually we don't need a huge variety of technical exercises to help us. We can take one or two to begin with and use them for a variety of different techniques. So for example, a very simple exercise, a Hanon or a scale or anything you want to use, can be used to practice coordination between the hands. So playing staccato in one hand, legato in the other, can be used to get used to varying your dynamics, crescendos and decrescendos. You can use it to develop speed, for example. These are all elements of technique. Playing the same exercise in a number of different keys, for example, of being able to transpose it back and forth between different keys. So one or two exercises are enough to achieve all those things, and then a variety of exercises. But if you do cast your net a bit wider and bring in a lot of different exercises that have, varying patterns, that really helps to train your fingers to be able to make those maneuvers in a piece of music when you come across them. So for example, people often complain about Hanon, that it's very repetitive. But Hanon has a variety of different patterns and movements that through repetition become very natural to our hands to actually execute when we meet them in music. So there is a reason behind that repetition. And similarly with somebody like Czerny, so all his exercises can be on one hand quite similar, on the other hand there's lots of different variations within them, different patterns, and these are all designed to help you get used to executing these on the keyboard so that it makes reading music much easier, that you're not trying to struggle with what your hands are doing at the same time as deciphering the notes on the page. These movements become more natural to you. So when somebody asks me if I should practice Hanon or Czerny, I'll say yes, absolutely. Should I do scales or etudes? Absolutely. Do them all, really. I'd say the only reason you should not do a particular exercise is if you find it easy, if it doesn't have anything to offer you. If you're playing an exercise, be it Hanon or Czerny or anything else, if you can't play it comfortably, if you can't play it in a variety of different ways, then that exercise has something to offer you and you can go ahead and work on it. You might want to start out with simple enough exercises and apply them to a variety of different techniques, such as being able to pedal, being able to coordinate the hands, being able to play them in different keys, varying the articulation between the hands, legato and staccato, vibrato. If you're able to manage that on a number of different exercises and all that becomes second nature to you, then you might want to move on to things that are more taxing in terms of the pattern and being able to maneuver your way around them. That's when you might find the later exercises in Hanon more interesting, for example, or the Jeffrey Tankard book, which has a lot of different patterns and different variations to play. But the most important point I'm making today is that it is always a good idea to develop your vocabulary and your understanding of grammar when you're learning a language, and music is no different. So your technical exercise is going to be a huge help in developing that. If you'd like to deepen your understanding of music in general and develop your practice techniques and your ability to learn music quickly, I'd like to invite you to come and join me at the Lekela Music membership, which you'll find in the description below. I'll see you again soon, and in the meantime, happy practicing.